All right, welcome back to our Tuesday Spotlights. We love sharing from our beautiful DTL women and DTLC alumni that have been in the program, and also wonderful people just sharing wonderful things. We want to help you on your purpose-filled journey. So today we have beautiful Ardice Lorscheider. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Connie, for inviting me. It's just such a joy to be with you and your audience.
It's so fun. It's Old Home Week. We're talking about life and things and retreats and all of that, where she came and did the DTLC and the amazing things that she's doing now. And we're going to share that today so that you get an idea of what is this generational gardening and how is it such a blessing to you and your family, simply and enjoyably. It's fantastic. And then what's been her journey to do this new event that she's doing that is coming up? It's already sold out. So sorry. But hearing about the journey to create this and how this came about, we're going to share all those things so you can relate to it on your journey to create. But first and foremost, let's give you the official bio. Ardice Lorscheider is a motivational keynote speaker, writer, entrepreneur, and gardener. And in 2021, she established Ardice Co with a unique focus on healing families through generational gardening. She is so fantastic at doing this and shares her love of gardening with her family, with others in fun and functional ways. She also has a degree in social work and a minor in family science from BYU, and has over 20 years of marketing expertise and community service. She also has been in the Fab 40 issue of Utah Valley Magazine, it's darling, and has been an honoree for Utah American Mothers. She's also served as a board member and chair for the Special Needs Committee for Utah's Uplift Families. And she and her husband, Sean, are the parents of 3 adorable girls, and they are fantastic. And they help you in this gardening experience. So let's jump right in. With this term, generational gardening, what exactly is that? So we can be on the same playing field, and then they can learn the beauty and the joys and the impact that this has.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Connie. And first of all, I have to give you a shout out for this weekend, this past weekend. I know you had your number 10 retreat in 2 years. So I just wanted to shout out to you for that. So
thank you so much. Oh my gosh, that is so sweet. It was incredible. We were just chatting a little bit before we started, and it was amazing. And a shout out to Ardice, because she was one of the OGs of our retreats. And I was saying, I cannot believe starting this just a little over 2 years ago, and now we just finished our 10th retreat, which says, ladies, if you're feeling the rumble, you take that next right step and then take the next one. It is amazing. I think about what would have happened had I and others not continued to took the first right step and then continued to do that same thing, which is exactly what you've done to create this generational gardening. And it took a minute for you to kind of connect the dots between your love of gardening and then how this can help others, and then kind of putting it all into this beautiful package. So take us to that of what this is.
Yeah, so generational gardening really, like you said, came about as a journey. And I think we have these experiences in our lives that we don't realize that are meant to be to help us later on in life, right? So I grew up in Lake Oswego, Oregon, land of the tall fir trees. I remember running in my backyard in the forest and getting like sap and pitch all over my hands and driving my mom crazy in the afternoon when I came home from climbing trees. I just always felt really connected in nature. And then I had wonderful parents that gardened, and my mother loved flowers. My grandparents in Burley, Idaho, in the summer when I'd visit them, my grandmother's rose garden was beautiful. My grandfather's vegetable garden. So I always was surrounded by the beauty of nature. And so I appreciated that, right? And then when I had a big hiccup, right, when we get those big speed bumps in our lives, and one of them for me was going through infertility. And I had to go through 20 years of IVF and infertility treatment to have those 3 lovely girls that you talked about. And the first girl, when I got pregnant with her, I was afraid of losing her. I had already lost several babies. And so I was like, what can I do to give me hope? What can I do? And so I ended up going to my favorite garden store, getting a beautiful David Austin rose bush in memory of my grandmother and her rose garden. And anytime I thought to lose that baby, I went and connected with the beauty of nature. I went and connected. So remembering the lessons from my grandmother was something that just lifted me. And I really felt like I was connecting with my creator, right? Like, you see all these beautiful flowers behind me, like,
so gorgeous.
That is not me. That is him. And I will say that very bluntly. Like, I feel like there's a divine creator that has created beautiful things around us with light, just as we are created from him. And so to me, that was very healing in that moment when I was trying to have hope to eventually get this beautiful child in my arms, which I did eventually, which was wonderful. But so that was interesting, growing up around nature, being able to go to nature when I needed some healing. And then I love people, as you read in my bio, social work, family science. I mean, the other day I had a woman come up to me and say, your plants are so lucky to have you. I can tell that you love them and nurture them. And you want to know what my response was, Connie? My response was, I do love them, but you know what I love more? I love people.
Love it. Oh.
I love people because I feel like if I can encourage them to be created by this beautiful light that's in our world, it lifts them and it nurtures them. And so my real purpose is lifting and nurturing people. And I didn't connect all those dots through my education, through my growing up, until honestly, I went to your retreat. I will say that. It made a switch. It switched in my mind like, okay, I have all these talents and gifts and interests of things I like. How do I bring them together? And I remember really specifically at the retreat, I had just recently lost my sweet mother to cancer. And so of course I was grieving and speaking about her. And then also speaking about my oldest daughter who has special needs. And she's the one that I went to get the rose bush, and her middle name is Rose, you know? And it just made this connection. Like, I am talking about generations. I am talking about my grandmother, my grandfather, my parents, my mother, my children. I'm talking about generations as I'm talking about the love of nature. And so when I say generational gardening, it is an awareness of bringing that beauty and light of nature and people, of connecting, of healing, of joy. I mean, there are so many scientific papers written about how garden heals you and how it can give you peace. It can help your health, right? And in this day and age, we need it. How it can help you connect with your family and heal with your family. My kids, we live on about an acre property, and someone's like, do you have someone do that for you? No, it's our family. We roll up our sleeves, we get outside, and when we're turning the dirt or when we're pulling the weeds, we are having deep conversations about how are you doing? What's going in life? I mean, it's just a beautiful way of really connecting with each other and finding that healing and joy that you need. So I hope that understands a little bit of that journey and that aha.
And so beautifully said, because I think back, our gardening experiences were more like, and they're, you know, screaming at each other, and I did too many weeds and you didn't. But I remember those times where you're pulling weeds together and you're chatting, or you're doing the bark dust bags. We just did this a couple of years ago, and we were laughing and joking, and then where should we put it? Okay, let's put it over here. And there's this connection, and then going out for something yummy after we're all sweaty and everything and saying, let's reward ourselves. And you're right, these vehicles to doing that, even cleaning the house or even doing these regular ways of going about life, we tend to farm them out. We tend to delegate them out because we're like, I don't have time and I don't want to deal with it. However, and that's not to make people feel guilty either. There's a time and a place and all of the things. But even if we do it as a snapshot or even in a smaller way, and I know that you have this gorgeous garden up in your property, and you did these different classes where you did these workshops. And I remember another DTL member, a DTLC woman that came up from California. She brought her grandfather, was it, or her dad?
It was her father.
It was her father. And she brought him to making the fairy gardens. You did a class on fairy gardens. And I just remember her, I don't know if you remember the experience, but I remember her saying it was just a sweet, tender, surprisingly spiritual and connecting experience. So that's what makes me think of that you provide that with those intentional experiences.
Yes, I'm really trying to set, either through workshops or events or whatever we're doing in Ardice Co, we're trying to encourage people to bring that light and nature together so that they can find that healing connection. And that experience that you just shared, honestly, Connie, is one of my dearest, most tender experiences. She had lost her mother to cancer also a few years before, and her father just wanted to do something, and her mother loved fairy gardens, and she just wanted hands in the dirt with her dad to create something for her mother to take at her gravesite. And they were in the garden for 3.5 hours. I'm not even kidding. And it was like heaven on earth. It was just a moment of talking about stories of their beautiful wife and mother, and just talking about her and laughing. And it just really was, I actually came in after that. I don't know if I've shared this with you. And I talked to my husband and I said, if we created that garden for that one moment, it was worth everything. It was worth everything. And I think people have to realize too, it doesn't mean you have to have a garden or things like that. Like, you can have a simple plant and still do generational gardening by sharing. I love sometimes, when the school needs, some quick treats, I got to run to the store and get a dozen cookies, right? Run to the store and go get a flower bouquet and bring it to someone you love. In fact, last week I was teaching a course on summer container gardenings, and I had this sweet woman who just recently moved here from Ukraine, and we all know a little bit about what's happening in that territory. And she came up to me and she said, again, her English, she's just learning English. She was saying to me, did you bring me flowers on my door a few months ago when we first moved in? And I said, I actually didn't. And she said, someone did. And it meant the world to me. And I couldn't speak enough words to tell them thank you, but my heart was so touched. And I said, you have a very good friend that loves you. And so there are simple ways that we can create, and we can be part of this beautiful journey.
I love that. And you're all about connection and joy doing this, and that connection. I remember years ago feeling not even this big in my alphabets, go and take flowers to this lady, but just this soft, very soft. I was at the store and I'm like, I'll just pick up a plant for a little flower thing for her, and just dropped it off on her doorstep, kind of that thing. And now I'm going to lose blessings because I'm sharing it. But anyway, later I found out she had just gotten a diagnosis of cancer. And she said that flower was so meaningful. So I love that. Sometimes we're quick to do a crumble, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
Or whatever, but we don't think often, we do, but not as often, of the staying power of this nature, this plant, and also the connection. When you were talking earlier, I was thinking about how much gardens factor in and nature factors in to scripture, and how it's so connected. The Savior in the wilderness, the Savior in the gardens, the 3 gardens, all the nature examples that he did when he was out on the hillside teaching. I mean, it's just nature.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that. So when you see this happening with people, and this connection happening, I know that when you were at the retreat, you were trying to figure out, what can I do that can kind of channel in this opportunity to connect people, because it can be so amorphous, and people listening are like, I want to do good, but I want to help everyone. I don't know how. And you have to sort of funnel it down in and really put your time and energy into one kind of focus for a while. Do you want to share about that for a bit? Because it was such a beautiful genesis of how everything kind of came about.
Yeah. So when we were creating the garden and building and designing the garden, I remember, it's only a 2-year garden, so it's just new. And that summer, so almost 2 years ago, from that summer, I remember being out there and planting some things in the garden. And I started, of course, remembering my mother. I, of course, was like, she would have loved this. She would have been out here and loved it. And I just thought, oh my gosh, what could I do to really, recognize her, but all mothers, the beauty of motherhood. And you know how powerful motherhood is. You've written a book about it, Connie. It is powerful. And I used to always take my sweet mother to brunch. That was just my Mother's Day gift to her, to spend time with her, to have good food. And I thought, what if I did a Mother's Day brunch? What if, right? Those ideas always start off, what if? Instead, it was, do it. Do it. First, I started off, what if? And then the thought came, do it, make it happen. And so we have this Louise's Garden Brunch. We're about to approach the 2nd annual. We're going to do it every year. This is our event. We just do to about 100 women. We have to cap it because we're really looking at women, and even men come too, right? That they're remembering their mothers or someone that was very mothering in their lives, like a neighbor or a good friend, or and so we do that by having this beautiful brunch. We have it catered. We have musical performances. We go and do a tour of the garden afterwards. And this year we're actually adding a charity donation with the local bee. We're partnering with them for other young mothers that don't have as many things starting off with a new baby. And so it just keeps blooming, right? So you start with a seed and it just keeps blooming. And this year, like you said, we sold out less than 24 hours. It was gone. The word is out. And I really think it's not, I mean, we have a wonderful committee, but I really think people are searching for that connection, for that time together, for that healing, for that joy. And we're looking at doing more workshops and events. We're going to do a mommy and me tea party at the end of the summer. We're really excited. Tea and lemonade party. And, you know, so there's just things that we're funneling in. So we do events, we do workshops, but I feel like that seed is planted and it's starting to grow and it's actually blooming. I'm in the process, you don't even know this, Connie, but I'm in the process of writing a children's book about generational gardening. So we're really excited about that. And then we're also going to be launching a special Ardice Co AC Garden Club coming up that will be with the seasons. And so all these things are just starting to bloom because my intent is to help people be aware and bring that awareness in their lives that there is a way, there is a tool to help them, like you said, find that connection, that healing and joy. And there's so many ways of doing it. And I just feel like I'm just the gardener in his vineyard trying to work and bring goodness because it's all around us. And I mean, look, you've got a beautiful painting behind you of a sunflower. I just noticed that. Yes, I love it.
My number. Okay. So you can tell I'm a stellar artist as long as that's 14, right? But you're right. Plant on this side. I've got that picture on the other side. I'm even wearing something, a nod to you and planting leaves. But there's something about that connection to nature. And I love that you're doing this brunch that we came last year and I brought my daughter, and it was just tender to be able to share that. Not only is it gorgeously done because that's Ardice, but this environment where even the music and the thoughts that you shared, it was this truly connecting. And then in that garden, there's such a special feel in that garden. She even has like an actual humongous teepee that's in that garden, but all the things that she's put in there are purposeful. They're symbolic. You've even gone to Oregon and touched the trees that you brought down, right? I mean, even the ring that you wear is a nod to your mother because it's your mother's ring. Yes. And every time you're doing your events and things like that, you are wearing that. And again, these things can seem so small and maybe innocuous and, well, you know, it's a plant or it's my mother's favorite rose or whatever. We'll plant that. But it is a connector. And it's every time we do those small and simple things, we're digging deeper roots. Pardon my, you know.
Oh, I love it.
But you know, those deeper roots of connection, and they bear fruit in the future when things go haywire. Those are the things that ground us down and be able to come back to center and what matters most.
Yeah.
For people listening, I know our time is short. For people listening, if they wanted to just take the first simple step of involving some kind of generational gardening, whether it's just a plant or a class or something, what would you recommend? Say they have kids that are struggling and feels like the family just is a little fragmented. What is a good first step, next right step for them?
Well, I think that's the beauty of generational gardening. It's very unique and it's very purposeful. So I would say, what is something you like to do in gardening? Is it gardening outside, or is it plants? Or is it using those tomato plants that don't stop producing, making, you know, the salsa and eating it with your teenager and their friends? You know, what is the thing that you love to do? Or is it going to the grocery store and buying a bouquet and dropping off to a neighbor or even someone you don't know? I've done that before. I actually have dropped off just flowers at someone's house that I didn't know. So what does it mean to you? So first you want to be lifted. So what does that look like for you? And once you realize, maybe it's painting the numbers, right? Your sunflower right there. Maybe that is it. and then get your child involved, right? That can do the numbers with you and be okay if it's not exactly in the line, just let it be. So I think you just have to decide, what is generational gardening? What does gardening mean to you? Because I've had people come up to me and say, I don't grow anything. I'm not a gardener. And I said, well, who gave you that label? Like, do you appreciate the beauty of nature? Do you like to go to, like, you know, close by, we have Thanksgiving Point and the Tulip Festival. Do you enjoy that? Well, yes, I do. Well, then go invite someone you love or take your children to the Tulip Festival. To me, that is generational gardening. It doesn't always have to be hands in the dirt. It's just a way of bringing that light into your life and sharing it with another. That is what it's about.
I love that. And it's the connector, right? It's just the connector. And how can you use it as a connector? You know, it's funny that you should mention that, because I hadn't done I got a new paint by number and I hadn't opened it up yet. It was a couple months ago.
This is a new talent I didn't know you had, Connie. I love it.
It's incredible. My work will be at, you know, the Louvre, I'm sure, soon, very soon. But I brought it out one Sunday and I just started painting at the kitchen table. I just thought, I'm just going to start it, because, you know, if you start it, then you've actually started it. So I just started it. And pretty soon here comes my other daughter and she starts painting, because she is an artist. And then my other one, and then my little guy comes up and he starts painting. And before you know it, I'm not kidding, it was the family bond trap of painting. We ended up sitting around this kitchen table, and it was not orchestrated. It wasn't, I was trying to make it a family activity. It was amazing to me how that just connected. And then for Easter, my sweet daughter, who is an artist, she took a picture of the Savior and then she's put it into blocks. And that's what we're going to do on Sunday. If all of us do that kind of a thing. But again, that started with that. Here's that picture of this beautiful flowers and stuff, because I always like painting flowers. Anyway, it was just this, get it started, connect to it, and then go for a walk or do something, go to a park, or just, like you said, go to a place or be in a place, or even get some plants. We just even do herbs on our little windowsill. We've done rosemary just to put it on the potatoes and feel like we're little chefs, right?
Yes.
But even on the patio or something, and now if it will stop snowing, we will have the sun to be able to put these plants out there. And let me just give you a nod. Ardice on her Instagram talks about all those seasonal things. What are good plants to put out for seasons, and all the things that you can do. So if you want to let them know, what are some things you teach them on your social media? Because you are.
Oh, you're sweet. We're still adding to it, and there's so many good things to share, but it's really just to inspire people and keep it simple. I like it to try to call it the true seed tip, something very simple so it's not overwhelming. But I think too, Connie, your whole point of just starting it. A master gardener one time said to me, my favorite part of gardening is taking a seed and pushing it in the ground. And pushing it in the ground. And that's all we need to do. Just start it. Push that seed, that desire you have, in the ground and do it. And then what I share online could be a very simple, how to do a simple container pot, or how to pick flowers when you're like, what do you look like at the grocery store? I mean, there's all these little tidbits and secrets of things that I've just learned along the journey, and I still learn. I love learning. And so I just love to share, and I have my girls involved in it. They're a part of it. And so they're learning things as we're doing this together. And so again, just start it, just plant the seed, have fun with it. Those are all wonderful things that you can start to do.
I love it, and experience that connection and joy through this generational gardening. Check out Ardice Co on Instagram, all social media platforms. So many good things. She has really, I have felt like I had a black thumb over the years. I am the one who watered a fake plant and didn't know it. Yeah, that tells you my gardening expertise. But Ardice has truly inspired me, and especially she's always bringing people these wonderful things, and I've actually kept them alive. The orange plant, it's still alive. It's still alive. So this is a big celebration for me.
Yes.
But I love that you share so openly and so generously how simple it is to connect, but how meaningful and deep this connection can go. So it's worth the time, even if it's a few minutes a week. Ardice, thank you so much for being with us today. This was a delight.
Thank you, Connie. Love seeing you and sharing as well.
Love you. And if you love these interviews, these little spotlights on Tuesday, check out the other ones. Each week we have lots of topics that we cover, what different women are doing, both. You can get the tip for what they're doing and learn about their journey, the stops, the starts, the things that worked, and can help you on your journey in your purpose-filled life.